Is Verizon a potential opportunity? We'll perform a VZ stock analysis like Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors of all time. While Buffett no longer is invested in Verizon, we'll reverse engineer his decision-making process by looking at the company's most telling numbers before we estimate not one but two fair intrinsic values for Verizon. Along the way, there'll be a key bonus metric that just might be the tipping point when analyzing Verizon for your stock portfolio. Then you're going to want to watch till the end when we give our rating. So is Verizon a potential opportunity? Right now, Verizon trades for $31.58 per share. 2023 has been very rough for the business. Year to date, their stock price is down 22.5%, while the S&P 500 is up 12.5%. That's not all for VZ shareholders. Right now, Verizon pays a huge 8.41% dividend yield. Their dividend yield is added to any performance in their stock. So Verizon's down, but they're not down quite this bad. In the last 5 years, Verizon has underperformed the market since 2020. Buffett sold most of his Verizon shares in the first quarter of 2022. Since then, their stock performance has gone from bad to worse. In the last decade, Verizon stock is down 38% overall. It's declined at 4.6% annually. Still, with their dividend yield, shareholders have likely had positive returns. When we go back all the way before the global financial crisis, in the last nearly 20 years, Verizon stock is down 9.9%. They performed a lot worse than the market has over this time. Again, keep in mind their average dividend yield is added to their returns. But the burning question is, why should we be paying close attention to Verizon? Right now, VZ stock trades just $1 above its 52-week low. The company trades $11 below its 52-week high. Still, there's not a lot of short interest with only 1% of their shares sold short. How big is Verizon? They're one of the biggest companies in the world. They have a $130.5 billion market cap. A fun fact, Verizon uses the most debt of any US public company. They ended last year with $178 billion in net debt, which means they have over a $309 billion enterprise value. Let's detail what Warren Buffett's investments in Verizon have looked like. He's invested in the company at two different times. The first was in early 2014. He bought into the company around $48 per share, and this made up 0.5% of his portfolio. He sold his position by the end of 2016 for $54 per share, making a small profit in a couple of years. Then, after the pandemic, Warren Buffett made another buy into the company. For 3 quarters in a row, starting in the second half of 2020, he put around 3.5% of Berkshire Hathaway's portfolio into Verizon, buying at a cost of around $60. He held this a couple of years before he sold out of the business in the first quarter of 2022, losing around $10 from his cost basis. Even though it was likely a losing investment for Buffett, it did save him from the trouble Verizon's been in recently. Since he's sold out, Verizon's down nearly $20, saving him a 50% loss across the board. With Verizon down so much cheaper than what Warren Buffett was buying into the business, we're trying to figure out, is the company a potential opportunity? Are they undervalued at today's prices? Why did Buffett feel confident investing in the business just a few years ago, and then their stock performance soured so quickly? Is the business performing as badly as their stock? Verizon Communications is primarily a wireless business. Wireless provides around 70% of service revenue and nearly all operating income. It serves around 92 million postpaid and 22 million prepaid phone customers following the acquisition of TracFone via its nationwide network, making it the largest U.S. wireless carrier. Fixed-line telecom operations include local networks in the Northeast, which reach around 25 million homes and businesses and serve around 8 million broadband customers. Verizon also provides telecom services nationwide to enterprise customers, often using a mixture of its own and other carriers' networks. Now with that understanding of the business, let's dive deep into their numbers. Starting with metric number 1, we want Verizon's average return on capital in the last 5 years to be above 14%. A normal business earns 7% returns on capital. By looking for a benchmark that's double this, we can build in margin of safety based on the quality of the company. Verizon's returns were above average in all 5 of these years, yet they've gone down each and every year. They earned 14.5% returns in 2018. These are down to 10% in 2022. They're even lower than that in their last 12 months. When we average these out, Verizon earns 12.3% average returns on capital in a given year over this time, While that's solidly above a normal company, it's below the benchmark we're looking for. This means on metric number 1, it's an X for Verizon. Metric number 2, we're looking for growth. We want to see 5-year sales, earnings, and free cash flow growth. This metric's all or nothing. These 3 all need to be up. We'll also include their numbers today. In this time, Verizon has grown their revenues by 3%. Their earnings are up by 35%, but the company's free cash flows are down 16%. When we look at their cash flows closer, Verizon spent $6 billion more today in capital expenditures than they did in 2018. Worth pointing out here too is their big purchase of intangible assets in 2021. Verizon paid $52.9 billion for mid-band spectrum at auction in 2021. This gives them mid-C-band 5G networks, which was a very pretty penny for the company to pay up. Because their free cash flows are down, it's an X on metric number 2. Metric number 3, we'll look at Verizon from the view of a shareholder in the company. We want earnings per share growth. Their earnings grew by 35% over this time. Verizon also slightly diluted shareholders. This means they've increased their shares outstanding. Verizon bumped these up by 2%. Still, their earnings grew faster than this. Verizon has grown their earnings per share. It's our first check of the day on metric number 3. Metric number 4, we're looking for something almost the same. We want to see cash flow per share growth. Verizon's cash flows are down over this time, plus they've issued more shares. Their cash flows in 2021 were negative because of their mid-band spectrum auction purchase. Still today, they're below where they were at in 2018. It's an X on metric number 4. To recap so far, Verizon has one check through 4 metrics. Before we look at the company's balance sheet and estimate our fair values, why don't we check in on our bonus? Right now, Verizon pays a huge market-beating 8.41% dividend yield, but is their dividend safe and can this grow in the future? That's what we're trying to figure out as our bonus. We want Verizon's dividends to be supported by their free cash flows. Verizon's done that in 3 of the last 5 years. However, they haven't in the last couple of years. 2021, we already mentioned, had this C-band spectrum auction. 2022, Verizon still didn't support their dividends using their cash flows. They do support their dividends today, but as we'll see in our next metric, Verizon has a lot of debt. Their free cash flows likely have to go toward this as well. Keep those factors in mind. While Verizon does support their dividends in their last 12 months, which is what we want here, it'll be a check on our bonus. You do want to be careful as AT&T, their main peer, recently cut its dividend, and their other competitor T-Mobile doesn't pay dividends at all. Depending on how things shape up for Verizon, their dividend could potentially be at risk even though it is supported today. In recessions, it's businesses with too much debt that can have the biggest losses or even go broke. Metric number 5, we want Verizon's net debt to be below the sum of their free cash flows in their last 5 years. Verizon has added on $67 billion in net debt over this time. Like we said earlier, Verizon has the most net debt of any public business in the US. They ended last year with $178 billion in net debt. Today, this is down slightly. That's a huge number, way bigger than most businesses. Verizon has a ton of fixed assets as a telecom business. Part of how these companies get their returns is by using a large amount of debt. Still, this is a ton. In the last 5 years, when we add up their free cash flows, Verizon's produced $92.4 billion of free cash flow over this time. That's coming in just more than half of their net debt position, way down from the coverage we're looking for. This means this is an X on metric number 5. You'll want to dig into the company's filings to see how their debt is structured, as these high debt loads and their large dividend payment may potentially cause issues for the business. Their debt could limit what the company does in their future, and it may affect how capital is returned to shareholders. The big metric of them all, metric number 6, we want Verizon's average 5-year free cash flow divided by their enterprise value to give us a yield that's above 5%. This is the first of 2 ways we'll estimate Verizon's fair values based on their free cash flows. Enterprise value looks at Verizon like a private company. It accounts for both their debt and their market cap. Right now, Verizon has a $309 billion enterprise value. This makes them one of the biggest companies in the world. In the last 5 years, we learned Verizon earned $92.4 billion of free cash flow. This means in an average year, they earn $18.5 billion of free cash flow. When we divide this by their $309 billion enterprise value, we actually get around a 6% average free cash flow to enterprise value yield. That's coming in above what we were looking for. Currently, Verizon produced $14.8 billion of free cash flow in their last 12 months. When we divide that by their enterprise value, it gives us a 4.8% current free cash flow to enterprise value yield. These are both above the yield from the 10-year treasury, but they're on either side of the risk premium we're looking for. Still, free cash flows could be lumpy year to year, so we're looking at an average here. It's something to pay attention to, but we'll give Verizon this check on metric number 6. Don't just run out and go buy the business. Stay to see what Verizon's fair value per share is before you watch for their rating. Everything we've covered so far is important, but there's something missing that, in my opinion, is the main reason to analyze Verizon. This takes us to using a discounted cash flow model to estimate their fair value per share. A DCF model is like any model in any field. Its outputs are sensitive to its inputs. We'll start with an average of Verizon's free cash flows, then use assumptions to grow these into the future. They've not had good business predictability in their past, which makes these assumptions harder to judge. It's up to you to figure out if these will be accurate or not. If we start with their average free cash flows and assume that in the next 10 years, these grow at 2.5% each year, then in the next decade, we'll assume that their growth is flat. We won't add in their tangible book value, as that's likely skewed based on how some of the accounting is done for the company. If we want a market-beating rate of return of 15% like Warren Buffett, at today's valuations, it looks like an estimate of Verizon's fair value per share is around $24. That's less than half of what Buffett was originally buying into the company at. Likely, it's part of the reason he sold his stake when he did, as he saw the business and their numbers going downhill. Keep some key points in mind. This discount rate of 15% includes Verizon's dividend yield. Their stock price would not be gaining by this full amount. Verizon's trading below its median valuations, but it's not quite to its lows in the last decade. Most importantly, this analysis is not financial advice. It's not a buy or sell recommendation of any security. Consult with your financial advisor before making any investment decision. Buffett looks at the numbers, but he cares about the qualities of a business even more. Let's learn what Verizon's qualities are. We'll start with the long thesis. Number 1, a focus on network strength over the past 15 years has put Verizon in an enviable position. Its wireless network provides the broadest coverage in the industry, and its reputation with customers is sterling. Number 2, with the largest customer base in the United States, Verizon Wireless is the most efficient carrier in the industry, delivering far better profitability than its rivals. Number 3, Verizon is relentlessly pushing forward on its core business, expanding its fiber optic network and deploying 5G wireless technology. But it's not all sunshine and rainbows for the business. As we've learned, their stock price is down big in recent years. Let's look at a short thesis too. Number 1, wireless technology is dramatically lowering the cost to build and maintain a network. Rival carriers, especially T-Mobile, are rapidly deploying new spectrum and technology to add coverage and capacity. Verizon's network leadership may be a thing of the past. Number 2, Verizon's fixed line business is a disaster, earning minimal profits and facing years of high costs supporting declining businesses. Number 3, Verizon's balance sheet isn't the fortress it once was, paying down debt with limited strategic flexibility and shareholder returns. Liabilities tied to lead-sheathed cable could add another headache. Verizon's also on the lookout for a new chief financial officer, which can make a big difference in a company with so many assets. Now let's combine their qualities with their numbers as we give Verizon a rating. So far, we've learned in our Verizon stock analysis, ticker symbol VZ, that the company earns above average returns just below the benchmark we look for. They've grown their revenues and their earnings, but their free cash flows are down. And in recent years, they had the big purchase of mid-band spectrum, where they paid out nearly $53 billion for something that they have to add way more physical assets to support. Verizon's added a ton of debt to their business, which the company isn't able to fully support, and for the first time in years may limit its flexibility. Still, they support their dividends today, although they didn't in the last couple of years. The limited ways they can use their money might put their dividend at risk, as it did not too long ago for AT&T. Still, Verizon's free cash flow to enterprise value yield potentially looks attractive compared to the 10-year treasury. When we performed our discounted cash flow analysis, from today's valuations, if you believe those assumptions and you want a market-beating rate of return like Warren Buffett, an estimate of VZ's fair value per share is around $24. That's down $7.50 from today's prices. It's less than half of what Buffett originally bought into the company at. We'll see if the company's stock price can get to those levels. As we've looked at the numbers and their qualities, Verizon looks like an interesting candidate for more research. If you enjoyed this VZ stock analysis, like it, subscribe to the channel for more, and watch this next video.